Imagine sitting down to a table set with your mother's finest china, or everyone gathering in their Sunday best just to eat a meal. Here are 10 Sunday dinner traditions that vanished from American homes. For decades, the formal dining room was the undisputed heart of the Sunday dinner experience, completely separate from the kitchen where the meal was actually prepared. Throughout the mid-20th century, this dedicated space was reserved strictly for special occasions and the traditional Sunday gathering. Families would transition from the casual nature of their daily lives into a room that commanded respect and proper behavior. The dining room table was often covered with an immaculately ironed linen tablecloth, cloth napkins, and a beautiful floral centerpiece that set a dignified mood. Unlike today's modern open-concept floor plans, where the kitchen island serves as the primary eating area, the formal dining room offered a distinct boundary between cooking and dining. By the late 1980s, as architectural trends shifted toward casual, open living spaces, the formal dining room began to disappear. Today, many of these rooms have been repurposed into home offices or playrooms, leaving the formal Sunday setting behind. Using the good china was a non-negotiable requirement for a proper Sunday dinner in the mid-20th century. Most households had two distinct sets of dishes: the durable, everyday plates used during the week, and the delicate, expensive porcelain reserved exclusively for Sundays and holidays. These fine china sets were often acquired piece by piece through wedding registries, grocery store stamp programs, or passed down as cherished family heirlooms. Accompanying the china was the heavy sterling silver flatware, which usually required a dedicated afternoon of polishing by the kids before it could be set on the table. Drinking glasses were swapped for crystal goblets, elevating a standard family meal into a truly elegant dining experience. As lifestyles became increasingly fast-paced and dishwashers became standard kitchen appliances, the desire to hand-wash delicate dishes quickly faded. Eventually, the good china was permanently relegated to the dusty shelves of the corner hutch, rarely seeing the light of day. Dressing up for Sunday dinner was a sign of respect for the meal, the family, and the day itself. Coming straight from Sunday church services, families often remained in their formal attire to sit around the dining table. Even if the family hadn't attended a service, showing up to the table in denim jeans, t-shirts, or athletic wear was strictly forbidden. Men and young boys were expected to wear dress shirts, slacks, and sometimes even a tie, while women and girls wore modest dresses or pressed skirts. This tradition reinforced the idea that Sunday dinner was not just another meal, but a significant weekly event that required a level of personal presentation. As American culture embraced casual clothing in the late 1970s and 1980s, the strict dress codes for family meals began to relax significantly. Now, it is perfectly normal to eat a weekend dinner in comfortable sweatpants, making the Sunday dinner dress code a distant memory. The relish tray was an essential appetizer course that graced almost every Sunday dinner table during the golden age of Americana. Long before the invention of the modern charcuterie board, hostesses presented a carefully arranged glass or crystal platter filled with an assortment of pickled and raw vegetables. A classic mid-century relish tray typically featured sweet gherkins, pimento-stuffed green olives, black olives, crisp celery sticks, and crunchy radishes. Sometimes, pickled beets or pearl onions were added to provide an extra splash of color and vinegar bite. This tray served a very specific purpose, as it gave hungry family members something to nibble on while the final preparations for the hot roast were being completed in the kitchen. The relish tray was inexpensive, required no cooking, and was incredibly easy to assemble. As modern appetizers became more complex and hot dips gained popularity in the 1980s, the humble relish tray quietly vanished from our weekend dining routines. No mid-century Sunday dinner was truly complete without a vibrant, towering jello salad sitting proudly near the center of the table. Peaking in popularity during the 1950s and 1960s, gelatin salads were considered a sign of culinary sophistication and modern convenience. Housewives would use intricate copper or aluminum molds to create wobbly masterpieces suspended with shredded carrots, canned pineapple, celery, or even cottage cheese. Sometimes, these savory and sweet concoctions were frosted with a layer of mayonnaise or cream cheese for an extra touch of richness. The jello salad was a versatile dish that could serve as an appetizer, a side dish, or a palate cleanser alongside the heavy roasted meats. As nutritional trends shifted and fresh produce became more widely available year-round, the appeal of encasing vegetables in lime-flavored gelatin sharply declined. Today, these jiggly, brightly colored side dishes are viewed as a humorous culinary quirk of the past rather than a Sunday dinner staple. Carving the Sunday roast at the dining table was a theatrical tradition that commanded everyone's undivided attention. The head of the household, usually the father or grandfather, would stand at the head of the table armed with a specialized, freshly sharpened carving knife and a long, two-pronged fork. Whether it was a beef pot roast, a glazed baked ham, or a whole roasted chicken, the meat was presented on a large platter surrounded by roasted vegetables. The carving process was a point of pride, requiring skill to slice the meat perfectly against the grain and distribute the portions evenly to the waiting family members. This ritual established a clear hierarchy and structure to the meal, making the serving process an event in itself. In modern times, meals are typically plated in the kitchen or served buffet-style from the counter, robbing the dining room of this classic performative centerpiece. Sunday dinners of the past were not rushed one-plate affairs. They were deliberate, multi-course events that could last for hours. The meal usually began with a light appetizer, such as a shrimp cocktail, a simple clear soup, or a chilled half grapefruit topped with a maraschino cherry. This was followed by the main course, which featured the heavy protein, starches like mashed potatoes, and heavily cooked vegetables. Bread, usually in the form of warm dinner rolls or homemade biscuits, was passed around in a cloth-lined basket to soak up the leftover gravy. Finally, the table was completely cleared of savory dishes before the dessert and coffee course was served. This structured pacing forced families to slow down, digest their food, and engage with one another over an extended period. Today's fast-paced lifestyle has largely condensed family meals into a single, efficient course, making the traditional multi-course Sunday dinner a rare luxury of a bygone era. During the golden years of the American Sunday dinner, the dining table was an absolute sanctuary free from outside distractions. The television, even if it was broadcasting a popular Sunday evening program, was strictly turned off, and answering the ringing rotary telephone on the wall was simply not allowed. The focus of the meal was entirely on the food and the people sitting around the table. Children were expected to sit up straight, practice their best table manners, and participate politely in the family conversation when spoken to. Reading a book, bringing a toy to the table, or listening to the radio were considered highly disrespectful behaviors that would result in a swift reprimand. In today's hyper-connected world, where smartphones buzz constantly and televisions play in the background of almost every meal, the concept of a completely distraction-free family dinner feels like an artifact from an entirely different century. The conclusion of a traditional Sunday dinner was marked by the ritual of after-dinner coffee and mints, designed to extend the family gathering just a little bit longer. Once the main plates were cleared, the hostess would bring out a silver coffee service or a freshly percolated pot of coffee, serving it in delicate matching china cups. Alongside the coffee, a small crystal dish of pastel-colored buttermints, chocolate-covered mints, or hard candies was passed around the table. This specific course wasn't just about satisfying a sweet tooth. It served as a designated time for the adults to sit back, digest the heavy meal, and engage in deeper conversation while the children were finally excused to go play. As modern coffee culture shifted toward specialized morning espresso drinks and away from late evening percolator brews, the tradition of gathering around the table for a post-meal cup of coffee and a mint quietly faded away. The grand finale of the Sunday dinner was always an elaborate, entirely homemade dessert that had taken hours to prepare. Unlike the quick, store-bought treats we often rely on today, Sunday desserts were a labor of love that showcased the baker's domestic skills. Classic offerings included towering coconut layer cakes, intricate lattice-topped cherry pies, homemade fruit cobblers, or a rich, scratch-made chocolate pudding. These desserts were baked fresh on Saturday or early Sunday morning, filling the house with an irresistible aroma that built anticipation for the meal all day long. Cutting the cake or slicing the pie was done at the table, with everyone receiving a generous portion, often topped with hand-whipped cream or a scoop of vanilla ice cream. As convenience food flooded the market and dual-income households became the norm, the time required to bake a complex dessert from scratch every single weekend simply vanished from the American schedule. So, if you could bring back one Sunday dinner tradition, what would it be? Drop a comment down below to tell us your favorite family meal memory.